sometimes we don't win. Don't give us a bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show, Bed River sponsors. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
Welcome along to Betting Weekly live here with myself, Dan Roebuck, alongside me, Ruairidh Barlow. We have got World Cup qualifiers in Europe to talk you through over the course of the next 45 minutes or so. Plus, because Rory's here, we're going to tackle Georgia, Spain, and indeed Greece, Scotland for that matter. 2 games, of course, tomorrow. Scotland with a big opportunity, maybe, Rory, to win tomorrow. And then it'll be a bit of a shootout against Denmark on the Tuesday. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, Dan. I'm delighted to be on to discuss the most important game of the week, as I'm sure you'll agree, which is that game in Piraeus tomorrow. If Scotland do get a point, then they do get a playoff. So we are in it if we don't lose. But no, in Scotland, we'd make it difficult for ourselves and leave ourselves needing a point against Denmark, no doubt. But yes, welcome along to everyone, including Lamb Sauce.
Indeed. Welcome along to everybody. And Billy Charles is in. Azad Flights is in as well. Dave as well. Good day to everybody. Azad Flights says, good morning. And God bless Mr. Haaland. Yeah, he scored 2 yesterday. I think a lot of bettors warned him. And for a certain amount of time, was it 0-0 against Estonia at half time? You just thought, crikey, surely Norway are not going to stuff this up on the cusp of qualifying for a first World Cup finals for I don't know how long. But yeah, they got over the line in the end, and his presence is certainly going to be good in the World Cup next summer. Obviously, they're not quite over the line, but I don't know what the goal difference is, Rory, with them in Italy. Is it something like Italy have got to win 9-0 or something against Norway for the last game? It's not going to happen.
It's a long way off happening, and especially with my usual doubts about Rino Gattuso's management. So yes, if he pulls that off, then I'll take everything I've said about him back.
Henry says, cheers, guys. Welcome to Finland. Malta match day. Absolutely stoked for this one. Cannot wait. Well, the team news is out. We're going to talk about it very shortly indeed. Just want to cover across 1 or 2 big bets that we had over the course of the last 24 hours in the soccer world. This is a great one, this. Cristiano Ronaldo to score at -156. I mean, we talk about Ronaldo on the show an awful lot because most of us are quite down on him. And then he just pops up and he keeps on scoring. And I know that people thought it was a bit of value at -156 to score. But unfortunately, he got sent off. And unless there's some sort of appeal, which I guess there might be, I've got no idea what the Portuguese FA are going to do. Obviously, they've got one more competitive game before the World Cup finals. He'll be suspended for match day 1 of the World Cup finals, will he not, Rory?
Yeah, I saw on a podcast somewhere today that maybe during the FIFA Peace Prize, which will be handed out before the tournament, Ronaldo will be pardoned by a fearless leader of some sort. But yes, I'm sure he'll find a way to be at the World Cup without too many issues. But yes, welcome along to everyone again. And to Brendan King, I'm glad that Barnabas Varga did cash despite his snack eating propensities.
I have no idea what that is about.
That's a reference from about a month and a half ago.
Is it really?
Yes. Credit to him for coming up with that, because that slipped my mind until it was brought back to me there.
Crikey. People do listen, don't they? That's always fun.
He was caught buying a load of crisps and nuts basically before a big kind of Europa League qualifying game.
Right.
In the corner shop, just as you do.
Also, we had Bangladesh against Nepal live over 2.5 Asian total, which was a winner. Don't they call that the is it the chicken neck derby because of the little bit of land in between the two countries? Estonia live +3.5 on the Asian handicap live, which was a winner. England, Serbia live over 1.5 goals. Left it late. Ezza got over the line with that one, -141, which was a winner. That was a $5,000 play. Also, France, Ukraine live under 2.5 goals, which was a loser. Monsieur Mbappe, I think, did for you there. Did he score? Did he score yesterday? Did he get two yesterday?
Got an assist, yes.
Yes, he did. And again, I guess in this sort of Mbappe and Haaland and Kane situation, which people talk about every single week. Kane let bettors down. How is Mbappe doing at Real Madrid at the minute? Because I tend to think he's not getting the sort of profile in terms of bettors that Kane and Haaland is, but he's still having a good season, isn't he? He had a good season individually last season, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, 18 goals in 16 games is about as good as it gets. I think if there's one reason that Real Madrid are top of the table, it is Mbappe. Real Madrid have been decent, but not particularly impressive this season so far. But Mbappe has been the one kind of figure who's been playing above everyone else, basically, and scoring lots of goals. And yes, Real Madrid will be delighted that he's packed up and back off to Madrid today after some ankle inflammation, which conveniently avoids a trip to Baku.
That'll work. A says, at least I caught Italy money line in play 5-2. Yeah, they left it late with their goals, didn't they? Brian says, knowing Portugal, he landed it for him, paid off for me. Dave says, Ronaldo showing his true colours. David Lopez says, Argentina lineup is strong for a friendly. They take on Angola as well. Don't they? And yeah, Troy's been on BetRivers Thursday Soccer Boost was on Haaland or Mbappe to score at least 2. So if you're a BetRivers account holder, hopefully you managed to cash that one. Where is the Lamb Sauce? Says Finland money line under 1.5 first half goals, plus 100 even money for that. So you're going unders. Finland game. That is interesting. We have had a $2,500 play on Argentina, Angola over 2.5 goals at -175. We've had a $1,600 play on Finland on the money line, very short odds at -357. Also some big wages on Netherlands, Poland over 2.5 goals and over 3.5 cards. Rory's got a cards play for us a little bit later on. Just a reminder of the live streams today. We have got some Segunda action. Valladolid against Las Palmas. Also, we've got an international friendly Venezuela, Australia. Grand Slam of Darts is also covered live. 4 EuroLeague basketball games and ATP Tour finals in Paris also covered on the site if you have an account. Let's get stuck into some thoughts, some selections on the games today. We're going to start, Rory, with Finland against Malta. And this is the first leg of your daily double here. Now, Finland can still technically qualify for the players, but it'd take a big turnaround, wouldn't it, in goal difference, and results need to go their way as well. Poland play the Dutch later, Malta on Monday. So it's in Poland's hands, really. They need to lose both of those games. Finland need to win today. I mean, I'm just going to play this fairly safe and go over 2.5 goals. I think they have to go for this. The last 3 Finland internationals, all over 3. The last 3 Malta internationals, all over 2.5 as well. And indeed 4 of the last 5. So I'm going to play overs at -117. How are you tackling this one for the first leg of the daily double?
Yeah, my path does not diverge too far from yours, Dan, here. I'm going Finland -1.5 on the Asian handicap. That's at -113. I just think, like yourself, I mean, Finland are obviously favourites for this one. They've beaten Poland and Lithuania recently. They need Poland to lose against Malta again next week, as well as the Netherlands tonight, plus an 11-goal swing. So if they want any hope of that happening, they basically need to thump Malta here. I don't think there's too much chance of that really being a factor in this game. But Malta, just 1 goal scored all campaign so far, admittedly against some quite good teams in there as well. But yeah, I think Finland have to be favourites to win, have to be favourites for me to win by at least 2 in this game. Even if Finland aren't blessed with so much goal-scoring talent themselves, I think it's still a fairly safe one here.
So -1.5 on the Asian line, -113 is the first leg of your daily double. We've got the team news in. Malta without a couple of suspended players, Teddy Tuma and Ryan Kamanzuli. Paul Mbongu scored in his last 2. Does start. Looks like he's going to play off Cardona if the lineups are to be believed. I was hoping, Rory, that Timo Pukki was going to play for Finland because I thought that we could put him up as an anytime goal scorer, but he's not in the starting lineup. It's not really a surprise in one sense because he hasn't started for Finland recently. He's back in Finland after a spell in Major League Soccer. He's got 14 goals for HJK this season, but his last 8 caps were all off the bench. Surely he's going to come on at some stage. The reason we're talking about this is because he is retiring from international football, unless, of course, by some miracle that they make it through to the finals. And then I suspect that he'll reverse that decision. He's got 2 goals in 4 appearances for Malta. If he comes on, there might be an angle in play. He will definitely start against Andorra on Monday. It's a friendly at home. That'll be his last game. So watch out for the prices on Monday for Pukki. I mean, he's been a great servant to Finnish football. Bit of a shame he's not starting. But if he's not been a regular, then I guess it's understandable.
Yeah, and I mean, as you say, probably that half hour, he may well prefer. I mean, what age is Teemu Pukki these days? He's
35.
late.
35.
So,
Not as old as you
he's
think.
not old, but yes, by that age, maybe he's fine to be like, I'll have half an hour at the end of the game here when Malta's legs are tiring a little, and there's a bit more space in the box. So yes, I think, as you say, that Andorra one is one to keep an eye on Monday.
Yeah, and on Monday as well. And if spin back and listen to what Lewis Jones was talking about yesterday about teams with a low block giving up penalties, because Andorra are a low block team, obviously, and they do give up penalties more often than others, simply because most of the play is clustered in and around their own penalty area. Now, Teemu Pukki hasn't been on penalties for Finland for a little while. Barlow is on spot kicks. But if it's his last game and he starts and they get a penalty, surely they're going to give it to him. That's on Monday. I thought he might start today. He's not. Obviously, they're taking it seriously. They want to make sure that their part of the bargain is done and win the game and see what happens with Poland later on. -1.5 Asian line for Rory at -113. I think that's a smart play. It is the first leg of the daily double. That is the early kickoff, gets underway in 50 minutes time. Just a reminder about the newsletter, bettingweeklystudios.com. The Betting Weekly newsletter drops on Mondays, and the Betting Weekly Insider arrives on Fridays in your inbox. It is free, so you're more than welcome to that every single week from our good selves at Betting Weekly. All of the handicappers contribute lots of free tips and stats and so on. Right, next up, Croatia against the Faroes. We're going to talk about next. Croatia are -1,000 here. Faroes are 20-1. But the Faroes have put up some good performances, as we know, in this qualification process. They beat Czechia by 2-1. They were 7-1 to win that. They're 20-1 here. I mean, it would be a story, Rory. I know you've not got a pick in this, but I don't think they're going to make it through because they have to beat Croatia. It's their final game of the qualification process. And although Croatia only need a point, it's not going to happen, is it? I don't think.
It's probably not, but to get any value out of this game, you mentioned that kind of -1,000 for Croatia. You're going to have to look at ways that Croatia are scoring goals, ways that Croatia are kind of dominating the game, which I think could be the case. But given the Faroes are in quite good form, given they've really put up a fight against Czechia, that kind of thing, this is a game that I'm steering so far clear of, just because I think it could go kind of anywhere, and I think Croatia will end up winning it. But as I say, there's no value in that. I think it could be tighter than we perhaps think. There's no real kind of reason for me to back Croatia heavily in this game, especially given Croatia. I tend to think Croatia are they tend to play up to their opposition and play down to their opposition a little bit. If they're playing against one of the bigger teams, they really raise their game. Against the team that they maybe need to do less, they're not exactly going to blow them away.
I tend to agree with that. And Faroes have been a really good story over the course of this qualification process. Look, they're not going to get through. But Croatia only beat them by 1-0 in the reverse fixture. They haven't got Budimir, who is not with the squad. I think Franjo Ivanovic is going to start. Just one play that I would put up, and this sort of depends on where he's going to play. But you could have it anyway to a certain extent. I was looking at the shot on target market, and Gvardiol is +240 to have just one or more shots on target. That's a massive price. Now, the shots on target have dried up a little bit for him for Manchester City this season. And the reason why is he's playing centre-back rather than left-back. When he was playing left-back for City, and he was a real sort of fantasy league favourite because he was getting forward and scoring goals last season. He had 12 shots on target last season, mainly playing left-back. He's only had 1 shot on target this season. He's been playing centre-back, and he was injured earlier this season. He's going to start, would have thought, today. He's not started in all the World Cup qualifiers. If he starts at left back rather than centre back, I think you've got a really good value bet. I make it 38 competitive games that he started, 12 at left back, 26 at centre back. He's got 5 shots on target from 4 games in those 12 at left back, and his numbers are 6 from 5 from 26 at centre back. So the implied probability here, stay with me, maths fans, the implied probability here is 33% of the time when he's left back. So that's plus 200, 2 to 1, 19.2% when he's playing centre back, which should be plus 420. We're getting plus 240 about a plus 200 shot. And just one other thing I want to throw in the mix about this. In the reverse fixture, Croatia had 17 corners. Gvardiol good in the air. 10 of the 26 attempts on goal in that game were from headers. And for Gvardiol, over the course of this season and last in the Premier League, of 45 shots that he's had, 20 were headers as well. He doesn't score too often for his country, just 3 from 44. But a shot on target is all we need, plus 240. If he starts left back, he might not. If he starts left back, I think you've got a value play. Have a look at that one. What have we got on the comments? Brian says minus 10 Croatia to win both halves. Maybe, but they didn't in the reverse fixture. But I see where we're always trying to squeeze some value somewhere out of a minus 1,000 shot, as Rory points out. that is the problem. It's where do you go with this?
I was fully expecting a Kramaric special score, assist, or Kramaric shot on target there as well. And I know you have you like him, Dan.
Yeah, look, there's a lot you can take a look at. I don't know. I think the problem when you go to the Kramarics this world, you need like over 1.5 or over 2.5 to make it worth your while, because they're usually very, very short. That's the problem. So I've picked Gvardiol there. I thought he was going to be fairly short, but plus 240, I think he's a decent one. Humble Leviathan says both teams to score such big odds. Yeah, look, I mean, could the Faroe score? I mean, potentially. Francis G says Faroes plus 3 on the Asian line. I couldn't put anyone off that. And Bula Charles says Jack Wright gave us Faroes plus 2.25 on the Asian line in the newsletter. So Jack and Rory, we're almost saying like, this could be a workman-like Croatia 2-0 win, no fuss. They win the game. They qualify for the World Cup finals. Faroes have put up a good battle. They'll play on the break. And it's that type of game that is fairly instantly forgettable unless you've got a winning play on it. But yeah,
it's true.
That's the lean for me. Gvardiol over 0.5 shots. Nothing from Rory in that one. Poland, Netherlands, though, we have got something for you. It's the second leg of Rory's daily double. In terms of the prices here, Poland a plus 380, Netherlands a minus 148. Poland know that a point will be good enough to qualify for the playoffs. Still got to play Malta at home on Monday, as we referenced before. Win for the Dutch sees them through as group winners. A point probably going to be enough. They play Lithuania next. Poland could catch the Dutch with a win. That will see them draw level, but they would have an inferior goal difference, most likely. Dutch away from home minus money worries me a little bit, but they have got a good head-to-head record. They've won away at Poland their last 6 visits. I'm sort of in the Dutch camp with this one. Don't really want to back them at minus 148. We've got, Rory, the second leg of your daily double here, though.
Yes, Netherlands to win or tie and parlay that with both teams to score. That's at minus 130. I think that's you've covered a lot of outcomes in that one. And yeah, I think everyone is just delighted to get on this game because there are 2 teams that have such a passionate disregard for defending. They really don't care about it. Poland, I think, have scored in their last 12 and the Netherlands have scored in their last 10. In the last 15, Poland have had 3 clean sheets against, wait for it, Lithuania, Malta, and Lithuania. The Netherlands, if you go back to the Euros in their last 16 games, Finland, Malta, Lithuania, and Hungary are their 4 clean sheets. So that Ronald Koeman has never been somebody who's too kind of over kind of egging the details. He likes a kind of fairly open, free-flowing game. And Poland, they don't necessarily have bad defenders, but they're just not a team that is like, if you compare it with Scotland, which we will in a few minutes, Scotland are a team that kind of make up for their deficiencies by playing a fairly solid system. Poland are trying to kind of play to their strengths up front, and that kind of leaves holes open at the back. So yeah, 2 teams that just don't care about defending, frankly.
Netherlands or the tie. It's interesting you say get the draw on side there. I'm sort of down with that. A says I'm going for a 1-1 correct score. Looks a bit trappy. You're absolutely right. It's just one of those ones that the Dutch probably don't need to win, and they'll take a point. Likewise, Poland to qualify for the playoffs as well. Both teams to score. I like. I mean, it's a strange one, isn't it? Because you look at the Dutch and you think, well, they've got such a terrific lot of defenders. But I was looking at some of the past lineups, and they don't play where you think that they're going to play. So Dumfries, you think, how can Dumfries get in against Timber? Timber's had the best season I've seen as right back for a long time. But Timber plays, but he plays centre half. Well, then you think, well, hang on, what happens there? Van der Ven doesn't play centre half as he does for Spurs. He'll play left back. So you've got some good pieces, but not necessarily in the order that they play for their club sides. Whether De Ligt will come in and play, I don't know what the squad is. I should have checked that. I think he's back in the squad. So there's a little bit more manoeuvrability, but it's as if he wants to play all the players that are in form, maybe slightly out of positions. And Booba Charles says Poland missing a few players. That is true, but they are not missing Robert Lewandowski, are they, Rory? Because he made peace with Jan Urban a few match days ago, didn't he, in terms of coming back? Because I don't think he retired. It was Mikhail Probets who was in charge, but he basically said he wasn't going to play for the previous coach. Did he miss the summer games? I think he missed a few games, didn't he?
I think he missed a couple of games, essentially saying, I'm not playing for you again, to Probets. And then Jan Urban was quite swiftly drafted into the Polish national team, if I remember correctly. I think it was about 1 or 2 games later. So, yeah, Lewandowski fresh off the back of a hat-trick for Barcelona last weekend against Celta Vigo. Yeah. He looks in pretty fine form. And, yeah, penalties are another one. I feel like the Dutch defenses quite often like to give away a penalty every now and then. They're just, and it's not necessarily a criticism of the team itself, because if you win more games by outscoring your opponents, that's fine. But yeah, they do give up goals. So yeah, I expect Poland to be able to eke out one, especially at home, where they'll have a bit more kind of fire and brimstone to put on the field as well.
Yeah, Jan's on, and Jan will know. Jan Philip, basically, Jan said he thinks that the Dutch will win 2-1. He says Timber are better than Dumfries. However, Dumfries scored a lot for us, and also saying can't wait for the World Cup. Peter Bosch will be a great manager. We're tired of Koeman. I mean, you tell us, Jan, in terms of team selection, it does seem a bit odd that you tend to get players moving around in positions that they don't play for their clubs, which is a bit of an issue. My biggest issue with the Dutch, Jan and Rory, tell me if I'm wrong, is I look at the team, and I know a few people have bet them at like 20-1 to win the World Cup. I worry about your striker. Is it Depay? Is he your main man up front? And I worry about your keeper. Is Verbruggen the best that you've got, Jan? You tell it. I mean, that my issue is sort of, Gakpo sometimes will play. I mean, Marlon's played on the right, I think, as well. It's just, have they got an out-and-out striker would be the reason I think I would probably pass over them, Rory, in terms of a good run for the World Cup next year.
Yeah, and I think if you look at kind of recent World Cup teams that have gone very far, that have maybe not been favourites, they have done so on being kind of a solid block, and that is not, as I say, what Koeman kind of aspires to be. So yeah, he's not going to be kind of a Morocco eking out these results. He's not even going to be a Netherlands getting their way to the 2010 final, where they were very much defensively solid first and foremost as well. And yeah, they do have a lot of quality up front. They do have a lot of quality going forward. Hakpo, I think, is another player that will get you goals, but they're not in the same class as, maybe going back to that 2010 side again, as a Robin or somebody that you can really put your hat on, the Schneider that is top in the world right now. So yeah, I think there's quarterfinals, semi-finals, easily enough they could get there. But yeah, to win it for me is a touch too far.
Jan, talking about Rovers, who's at Sunderland, he's had a great start to his Sunderland career. That is for sure. He's come from nowhere. Was he at Nijmegen last season? Jan will let me know. I think he plays for the 21s, does he, at the moment? He's only 22.
Jan doing a lot of heavy lifting for us.
Yeah, he is a bit. He is a little bit. Incidentally, on Lewandowski, he's plus 140 to score at any time. He's never scored against the Dutch in 4 appearances against them. It's a small sample size, and we know what a good striker he is. And as Rory pointed out, scored a hat-trick against Celta Vigo. Daily double then, plus 233. If you're following Rory's daily double, it is Finland minus 1.5 on the Asian line. That's the first leg. And it's Netherlands or tie, plus both teams to score, at -130 in the second leg. So if you double those two up, those two games with Finland -1.5 on the Asian line, and then Netherlands tie in the double chance market, plus both teams to score yes, the daily double comes in at +233. Just in terms of where the money's been going for the first games that we've talked about, most of the money on Finland and overs for the Finland-Malta game. For the Croatia-Faroes, again, all the cash on Croatia, as you would imagine, likewise on the overs. And Poland-Netherlands, some sizable figures on overs here, 98% of the money, 98% of the tickets on the overs, which is the biggest that we've had across any of the World Cup qualifiers today. So overs is really popular for the Poland-Netherlands clash. And in terms of the money line, it's the Dutch who are being supported. Luxembourg, Germany, next up here. And again, you've got to get creative. You've got to look to Asian lines if you want to bet Germany here. They did get beat off Slovakia match day 1, but since then have won all 3. They beat Luxembourg 4-0 at home. They play Slovakia on Monday, which is probably going to be a decider to see who wins the group and therefore qualifies. Luxembourg have been a little bit of a favourite of ours on the show over the last few years because they had some really good runs. They only lost 6 in 21 in about an 18-month period, but they have massively dipped recently and they're sort of reverting to type. They've lost 6 of the last 7, haven't one win the last 16. So I'm starting to sort of row back to those pre-decent form days with Luxembourg and just think Germany are going to win pretty comfortably here. What are your thoughts, Rory?
Yeah, very much kind of off the back of what you're saying, and that dip in Luxembourg's form, they're not quite. There was that run. I think they maybe beat Turkey away from home or beat Turkey at home, and that was quite a big result. I think a lot of people sat up and took them more seriously after. But yeah, this Germany side, I think my kind of lean here is going to be Germany to win 2-0 plus over 2.5 goals. I know that's quite a mouthful and a lot to get on, but that in theory a 3-4-0 win or a 4-1, 5-1 win, that kind of thing. That to me is kind of the norm for this game. So I think I'm betting on the norm, and more than anything, just because I think Nagelsmann he's obviously a very good manager, but his Germany side have been kind of quite up and down. During the tournament, they were quite good, narrowly lost to Spain, but in these qualifiers, have kind of thrown up some bad results against the likes of Slovakia, that kind of thing. They only beat Northern Ireland 1-0. So I think Nagelsmann will, especially in this first game, before the second game, where he can kind of maybe rotate and rest a little bit more, he will say to his players, look, we need to put on a performance. Let's an hour of really good football, and then let's get back up the road. Luxembourg also very close to Germany, so not too much travelling for them. Yeah,
I think this will be an old school Germany win, sort of 3-4-0, that type of thing. Germany to 0 over 2.5, Rory plus 107. I mean, I just think, you know, the Asian line is -2.5 and Germany are -115. I think they'll win pretty. I think they'll win pretty comfortably. It's interesting that Leo Sané is back in the squad. He missed some games. He's had a good little period at Galatasaray. He's a really good player to watch when he's on form. I think he will start. I noticed on the Bet Rivers website that he wasn't listed in terms of anytime goal scorer, shots on target, but it would not surprise me if he does start. Why is he back in the squad to a certain extent if he's not going to start him? I know that Musiala's still out. They are missing a few players, Germany. It's not straightforward. Voltemada is probably going to start up front. Fulkrug's not in the squad. I don't think he's only scored once, Voltemada, but it was the winner against Northern Ireland. And I looked at Wirtz for anytime assist, and he's the favourite at plus 133. I had this sort of theories like he's back with a Germany fold. He should be a bit more comfortable. And obviously he's having a poor time at Liverpool at the moment, but he's not had an assist for his country for over a year, and he's only had 5 in 26 anyway. So that sort of put me off that a little bit from a Wirtz point of view. But I just think, look, keep it simple. I think Germany will win this one pretty comfortably, and I'm taking them to cover the Asian line. Let's go to Slovakia against Northern Ireland here. Slovakia plus 102, Northern Ireland plus 310. Win for Slovakia means it is a shootout for top spot with Germany on Monday, as we mentioned before. Northern Ireland, if they win, it puts them in pole position, I guess, Rory, doesn't it, for second spot, because they play Luxembourg on Monday. I'm really conflicted with this because Slovakia are plus 102, and I thought, crikey, that's too short. Northern Ireland beat them recently, admittedly at Windsor Park 2-0, but the XG was very similar. Slovakia had much more of the ball, and I'm not quite sure about either Northern Ireland or Slovakia in this one. It's a game I'm probably going to leave alone. You have dipped away from the regular markets for a bit of a lean in this one for us, Rory.
Yeah, I think this kind of round of internationals is quite interesting because although I think in play you will see situations where kind of these spot bets tend to kind of get away from you a little bit in terms of kind of shots on target, total offsides, that kind of thing. Those kind of bets can get away from you a wee bit, but given the situation and the needs for some of these teams, you can really kind of start to work out results a little bit more. That said, I am going for a spot bet in this one. I think with this game, Northern Ireland basically will look at this, I think, and say a point. A point gets us to 7. Slovakia would be on 10. If we beat Luxembourg, then after that, Slovakia would need to not concede more than 1 goal in order to kind of make it through. Even then, I think Northern Ireland might still make it through on goal difference. So, yeah, from that point of view, Northern Ireland are just digging out a point in this game. That's all they'll be there for, I think, essentially. Given that, where I've gone here is over 2.5 cards, I think, for Northern Ireland, that is, and that's at about plus 115, plus 110 it was earlier. Yeah, I think given they will need to kind of shut this game down as much as they can, that will involve fouls, that will involve tactical fouls, and that's where you start to get in those yellow cards. I think Northern Ireland, again, will be sent out with the message by Michael O'Neill that this is do or die. If we can get a point here, then we're 70% of the way there, without being too disrespectful to Luxembourg, of course, as we mentioned. But yeah, this is the game for them.
I think that's fair, and it could even go the way of, you know, if they're getting beat and they're getting frustrated and there's a little bit of a hackathon going around because they know that their World Cup dreams are slipping away from them, it can work twofold in that, can't it? I don't mind that one at all. We appreciate that not every single state can bet in the cards market, but if you can, it's just a lean from Rory. One thing that I really want to sort of put Northern Ireland up, but Slovakia are unbeaten at home in the last 8, and Northern Ireland have lost 3 of the last 4 away. I'm not sure that they can get over the line. If I had to have a bet, I might play the draw, as Rory was pointing out there. And they have scored in the last 5 away, so even both teams to score. Yes, I presume that's probably quite short. I've not actually had a look at that market. But yeah, Ballard, Stephen from Lynn, has suggested he's a bit of a favourite. Obviously, he was man of the match for Sunderland against Arsenal recently, former Arsenal junior, where he scored, assisted, and a goal line clearance as well. And he's one of those players from set pieces that will pop up. Terrific header of the ball. Yeah, shot on target. Anytime goal scorer would be a big price. I think Jack and Steve and probably Lewis as well, knowing Lewis has probably put him up on multiple occasions to have a shot on target over the course of the last year or so. That is Slovakia, Northern Ireland. Gibraltar, Montenegro. I note that when I asked Rory for his selections earlier today, he sent me a long list of leans and picks, but nothing with Gibraltar against Montenegro listed on it. It's not the best from a betting point of view. Neither can qualify. The Asian line is minus 175, but I worry about any sort of line if one team or another, well, if both of the teams have got no real interest to win the game. The only thing I thought about this is that Stevan Jovetic is back in the squad for Montenegro. And he's missed the last few games. He has got 37 goals from 89 appearances. He's plus 123 score at any time. But if you go back and look at the teams he scored against, I looked at the nations he scored against, and the vast majority have been pretty low level. Either the sort of Gibraltar or the one step up. So he scores against, you know, those lower ranked teams. He's a bit of a flat track bully. He's a terrific footballer. I mean, he's getting on a bit now. But I would suggest if you wanted just a little bit of a fun bet in that, I'd go plus 123. I mean, is there anything on this one for you at all, Rory? Gibraltar, Montenegro? It's just one of those games that I didn't really take too much of a view on.
Yeah, the very long barge pools would not persuade me to touch this. Like, it's almost, unless there are some kind of playoff ramifications in the Nations League that this result would affect in terms of coefficients, then you're basically betting on a friendly between two teams that don't necessarily need to be there. It'd be good for, obviously, Gibraltar to get a result, but again, not too much riding on it. Equally, Montenegro can kind of drift their way through this And if they get a point, it doesn't matter too much to them, really, in the grand scheme of things. It's probably a game where if you're a manager, you look to rotate towards the next campaign, perhaps, and try out a few things. Vucinic is in charge for Montenegro. But yeah, for that reason, I've just steered so far clear of this one.
Karen's been on, or Kaksan has been on, says Poland, Netherlands, correct score, please. Demanding a correct score for us. Well, we like goals. We didn't actually put up a correct score for you, but I mean, I'd go maybe 2-1 Holland. I know Jan likes 2-1 or even 3-2. In fact, we fancy goals in it, and we sort of on the Dutch side of it. I mean, if I gave you a free $10 play on a correct score, Rory?
Yeah, I probably would go 2-1 with yourself and Jan, which maybe suggests either we're all in kind of lockstep and that's the way it's going to go, or everyone's kind of misreading this. But yeah, 2-1, 1-1, 2-2.
2-2 maybe. Yeah.
There's nothing strong enough for me to full out back the Netherlands for me, just because, again, as we say, a point can serve their purposes as well. But yeah, 2-1 would probably be the closest I'd get, and then if I had to hedge my bets, then it'd be 1-1 as well.
Yeah, just go overs and both teams to score. Can Jan, that'd be our advice really. I'm not a massive correct score fan at all. I must admit. I mean, sometimes I might group a few scores together. If we were talking about that Croatia game, you could sort of like Dutch 1-0 and 2-0, or maybe 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 together, that sort of thing, split your stakes that way. But generally, I won't get involved in the correct score. Those are the one other point. I was looking at goal scorers. Jovetic, obviously, I like. Nicholas Kristovic, who signed from Lecce to Atalanta in the summer. He's got a couple of goals for Atalanta, got a lot for a poor Lecce side last season, got 11. So he's one to look at as well. Kristovic, he's around about plus 105, I think, to score at any time in that one. Tend to think that Gibraltar are going to concede, but the game state, the sort of table state, if you like, means that it's just one of those games that I'd probably leave alone. That is Friday's games done and dusted. I'll remind everyone of the Daily Double shortly, but because Rory's on, we're going to talk Spain and we're going to talk Scotland. So Georgia, Spain, first of all. Rory, Georgia at plus 1100, Spain minus 480. A win for Spain pretty much guarantees them top spot the way I see it. They've won their last 6 against Georgia. They've won all their World Cup qualifiers so far to 0, all by 2 or more. I mean, I know that Spain are missing quite a lot of players here, but Georgia have got 1 or 2 missing as well. Surely this is going to be another straightforward win. What do you think?
Yeah, probably. I mean, like Mbappe, Lamine Yamal is convenient play. This is the point where Barcelona have decided to give him some treatment as well. So he's missing these 2 games. Nico Williams is out with the same injury. He's out with this as well. So they are missing a few kind of very familiar faces. But I mean, there's just so much talent and depth in the Spain side, and it seems as if whoever they put out, they tend to perform. Pedri is also out, I should say, as well, which is quite a significant absence. But given that kind of depth of talent and given the options that Spain have, I think there is a real kind of hard-nosed competition for places for Spain, and I think that will see you get quite an intense Spain performance, at least early on in this game. The way I've gone with it, the pick I've got here is Spain to be winning at halftime plus over 2.5 goals on the parlay. That's at minus 113. If you look back, Spain under 2.5 goals, they did do me against I think it was Bulgaria or Georgia in the home leg. But yes, that has hit in one of their... I'll start that again. Spain over 2.5 goals has hit in 10 of their last 11 games, even though I think they did miss that against Georgia, but they were very unfortunate to do so in the home leg. And if you look at, I think it's their last 7 games, they've been leading at half time. So yeah, I think Spain, there's no logical reason you can kind of oppose them or kind of look to anything more than a comfortable win here.
Yeah, so Spain to be winning at half time, plus 2.5 goals in the game, minus 113 for Rory. Yeah, Brad's come up with some nice stats there. Look, over 2.5, 19 the 24, 5 and 6 versus Georgia. I mean, that just plays in to Rory's thoughts as well. And they're generally fast starters as well. Mikatadze, I think, is out for Georgia. We talked about him on the show quite a bit, or the European show quite a bit. He's their main striker. Kvaratskhelia, I think he's fit and he's going to play. Who's going to play up front for Spain, do we think, Rory? I was just looking at the odds here. Oyarzábal is the favourite, along with Samu at plus 120 to score at any time. Borja Iglesias at plus 123. Ferran Torres plus 155. Mikel Merino, is he a starter for Spain? He's had a good time with Arsenal recently, or is he going to play in midfield? Who might be the sort of central main striker, do you think, for Spain?
I think it will be Oyarzabal, who's been in phenomenal form. I think if you look back at something like 9 goal contributions in his last kind of 6 or 7 games for Spain, he is right now the best performing number 9 they have, which is slightly ironic because he's obviously not a kind of natural number 9 as you would have it, but he's been playing a very kind of straightforward number 9 role for Spain and very well. That dovetails really well with Mikel Merino, who's absolutely fantastic, kind of coming from that second level against Turkey in that. Was it 6 or 5 now? 6 now, I think.
He's a big one.
In September, he was brilliant. A couple of really good finishes. So yeah, Oyarzabal is probably the one to start. I'd look at him on the special as well. I forget what it was, but I did kind of have a quick glance at score or assist. But yes, Oyarzabal will probably start through the middle. I'd say Merino is probably just about ahead of Fabian at the moment, which again is kind of a bit insane, seeing as Fabian was kind of a Ballon d'Or shout for many people. So yeah, they've just got so much talent right now.
Brad, yeah, just emphasising what you were talking about, went under 2.5 against Georgia due to 9-10 big chances missed and expected goals of 3.83. Yeah, and that's just Spain on their own.
I was on that Spain game over 2.5.
I think there's a lot of people on that over 2.5. Look, over 2.5 plus Spain to be leading at half time. Stats work out. Minus 113 is the price. Spain to nil is minus 114. Tend to think that's not the worst play either. One final point of order with Rory before we wish everyone a good weekend. This is Greece-Scotland we can talk about. Greece plus 110, Scotland plus 255. Greece cannot qualify for the World Cup finals. Scotland win sets up that game against Denmark on Tuesday to be a bit of a shootout for top spots. I know right at the top of the show, in typical Scottish fashion, you were more sort of downplaying because you have got a chance to win the group here, Rory. But you're thinking, look, as far as a Scotland point of view, is get a draw here, just try and make sure of second place. Is that, do you think, the overriding thought process with Steve Clarke and Scotland here?
Yeah, this one is get a point and get back to Scotland, because that guarantees that playoff spot for Scotland, and then it's whether they win or not. Given Denmark is so far ahead in terms of the goal difference, a win for Scotland doesn't actually help their chances too much, because even a win against Greece and a draw against Denmark will still qualify first in terms of goal difference probably. So yeah, they basically need to get 4 points from their next 2 games, including a win against Denmark to top the group, a point against Greece to qualify, and that will be the first point of order for Steve Clarke. They are missing a couple of big players. No, Billy Gilmore against Greece, which is quite important because he's very good on the ball. He's one of the few players that we have that can kind of pass the ball about a bit. But yeah, I think it's quite a hard game to predict this, because these teams have faced each other 3 or 4 times in the last kind of 2 years.
Yeah.
Greece won comfortably 3-0 one time. Scotland beat Greece 3-1 in Scotland. Last time out. We also beat Greece 1-0 in Greece in a game that we didn't deserve to win.
Nope.
And even that 3-1 win, we were pretty poor until about the 75th minute. So there's the results-wise, there's very little to go on here. I would say that Steve Clarke will try and keep this tight as possible. Halftime tie is a lean I like at plus 116. That's quite likely, I would say, at the very least. And Greece corners over 5.5 at plus 102 is another one. I think if you look at Greece, it's 3 of their last 5 that hits in. And given the way that Greece play, given the way that Scotland play, a lot of it will be played in Scotland's half. So I could see that being one that hits as well. And maybe one to kind of look at early on in the in-play as well. So yeah, tight game this, hard to predict the results, but there's going to be a lot of pressure from the Greeks on the Scottish defence. Yeah,
I like the corners play. I think you're absolutely right. I looked at all those 3 games, just at the stats for the 3 games. So 3 matches in 2025. Scotland have scored 4 and Greece have scored 4, but the expected goals difference, Greece 5.76, Scotland 3.68. You put those averages into any sort of Poisson distribution calculator and you will get Greece at minus money. They're plus 110. But we've got the intangible of Greece are eliminated and Scotland have got something to play for. And it's what percentage you put on that. How do you factor that into your bets? Because on all known sort of expected goal form and underlying metrics, you'd probably say that Greece are a bet, but it doesn't work out that way. And I like the corners play. It's going to be an interesting game as well. I mean, Greece, they got promoted in the Nations League, and they've just been. I thought they were on the way up. That I mean, they've got a win against England at Wembley on their CV, a competitive win as well. But yeah, they've lost the last 3 World Cup qualifiers, and will not be at the party in the United States, Mexico, and Canada next summer. That is your lot. Yeah, as Mbula Charles says, Henry, yeah, Bulgaria are not the team of Stoichkov and co. of 20, 30 years ago. They have really dropped off. That's why Turkey are such short price favourites. Right, let's just remind everyone of the Daily Double. Rory, give us your 2 picks for the Daily Double. They are...
Finland in about 15 minutes at minus 1.5 on the Asian handicap. And that pairs with Poland and the Netherlands, which is both teams to score, Netherlands to win or tie. You get that back at, was it
plus 233? Plus 233. That is the Daily Double. You've got to get your Daily Double on in the next 15 minutes or so. And this is from Troy, whose weekend UF Polly is in the chat, as you can see here. Oh my God, I shouldn't even start this. I can't say any of the names. We've got Makachev, and also, what have we got here? Madalena. Oh my God. It's up on the chat. If you want to bet it, it's minus 137. I'm going nowhere near UFC, but I hope it wins for followers of that particular parlay. Rory, thanks for coming on. I appreciate your time as per usual. What are you up to at the weekend? Are you going to be, I presume you're going to be glued to watching Spain and then Scotland? The times work out quite well, don't they? Because I mean, in terms of US times, I think it's midday and then 2:45. So I presume it's a day watching telly in a bar somewhere for you.
Yes, I've yet to negotiate with my girlfriend what's happening, because it's prime time Saturday night here in Spain. So yes, I've yet to negotiate what I'm going to do earlier in the day to make up for that. So yes, but I will be watching that Scotland-Greece game, which is a big one for us.
Indeed, it is. Yeah, we wish everyone well with their bets tonight and indeed over the course of the weekend. We will be back on Monday with more selections when it comes to World Cup qualifiers. From myself and Rory for now, though, it's goodbye. Enjoy your weekend and good luck with your bets.